the one, the only, Bencio. Good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube Table Enabled. I thought today was the last simon in Chelik Beis. It turned out I was wrong. There is one more simon we'll do next week, hopefully on Sunday. This is probably the most monumental simon there is in all of Shulchan Aruch. Because I just got off, I give a lecture series on marriage also. 10 dumb, really dumb mistakes very smart couples make, or Schaefer. He's talking about marriage. Before this book, I did a whole book about marital intimacy. Now this is really about shalom bayis, about navigating marriage. I mentioned in the lecture that I just gave that really, essentially, marriage comes down to this simon, the bedroom. That's really the success of marriage. I mentioned it both in this book and the other book. I said basically this book about shalom bayis is unnecessary as long as you have a loving relationship in the bedroom. That's where 98% of marriages are won. The other two marriages could fall apart based on ideological differences. When people don't agree about religion, that's the other 2% of marriages that can go awry because of that. But 98% of marriages, the differences in ideology is not that great. And what really ruins the marriage is the bedroom, because that's where you make love, called making love in the bedroom. And it's the most important thing to have a good marriage, and part of that is having good communication in the bedroom. That's really all it was about. And marriage is the single most important thing in your life. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's the most important thing in your life because it's even more important than your job. I heard Elon Musk say that someone asked him, is he happy in his life? And he says he's half happy. He says if you're happy with what you're doing at work, you'll be half happy. The other half happy is to do with your spouse. I agree. Both things make you happy, but the marriage and the family, I would say 2/3, right? Your wife should make you 1/3 happy. Your family life, including your kids and extended family, should make you the other third, and your work should be 1/3 also. So he's 1/3 happy, not 1/2 happy. He doesn't have a steady partner, and marriage is good, even though. I've said many times that I believe Torah allows for polygamy. The Torah believes in polygamy as the truth. In modern Western society, monogamy is practiced, and that's what we do nowadays. I like to see an end to it. But in a monogamous relationship, it's better to be in a monogamous relationship than to be someone who is not married and is sleeping around every week with a different woman. Great, you have choice, but you don't have the stability. There's two things that come with marriage. One is stability through the ups and downs in life. There's always someone there for you, and it gives you stability in your life. There's too many ups and downs in life. You want to be stable. You want to have a house, married. You come home, you have an order to your day. You go out in the morning, you go to your job, you come back at night to a home with a wife. And the second thing is that it's lonely. Even though you're sleeping with different women, you have different girlfriends every week. It's lonely. You're lonely. A lot of the time you spend by yourself. You live by yourself. It's lonely. Those two things make marriage much better than living by yourself, even having the selection of all the women. Obviously, the best of both worlds is polygamy, where you got both. You got even more stability because you have more wives, and you have the enjoyment of different wives. Because a man is not satiated with just one woman. That's just a fact. If you're a man, you understand this. If you don't understand, if you're a man, you don't understand this, you're lying to yourself. So this Reish Mem talks about so it's very important in these halachas, and the Shulchan Aruch really, his whole take on all these halachas. He's quoting a lot of Gemaras over here, but his interpretation of the Gemaras, and a lot of the Rishonim interpretations of the Gemaras are really misguided. I just did a whole book about marital intimacy, and even the author said that marital intimacy is a good thing. Pleasure in the bedroom is a good thing, not inherently for the pleasure, but at least that it should bring the two of you together. It should unify as one person. I believe inherently it's a good thing. Why do we have to suffer in this world? Just like the rest of the world, you seek pleasure, you avoid pain. We're not any different. Jews are not any different. God doesn't want us to be any different. It's the best thing there is in the world. It's the most enjoyable thing in the world. So the point of all these halachas is to teach you how to enjoy it the most. As the Torah is. The Torah is an or la'amim. It teaches, the non-Jews of the world light. It gives light to them. They're running after pleasures. The Torah says, you want pleasures? I'll do it a lot better than you can do it. That's what the Torah is saying. The Torah is not telling you what basically the Shulchan Aruch is saying through this entire sermon. We'll go through it. How to curb your enjoyment as much as possible. Only do it for the woman. For many reasons, it's a bad idea. But let's go through it. Aleph, if you're married, start off right away. You shouldn't be together with your wife so much. Only when you're obligated. The Gemara in Masechtas Kesubos says you have an obligation certain times to be with your wife. Depends on your job. How many times a week or how many times a month? Hayolim are people that stroll. I don't know where they're strolling to. That's what they do all day. They have a big business, a large inheritance. And he mentions they don't pay a tax. I'll get back to this in a second. They have no money, financial problems. They have a lot of strength, energy. They have to be with their wives every night. Now, this is kind of hard. I mean, even if you're married, after a while, you don't desire to be every night. It loses the fun if you do it every night. If you have work, but you work in a different city, and you come back, every night they come home. They go to Manhattan. They come back home. That's once a week. They have a hectic travel. So it takes a toll on them only once a week. Let's say they work locally. Well, they have more strength. They don't have a long travel, so they're supposed to do it twice a week. Chamarim are people that drive donkeys. I don't know, chauffeurs. I don't know. Once a week. Gemalim are people that ride camels. I guess nowadays maybe truckers or something like that. So they're not home a lot. Once every 30 days. That's hafanim. People who are on boats. They have cruise liners. They're not home very often. One every 6 months. What if you're a Talmud Chacham? Now, there's a question in the poskim, are Avreichim now, or even Rosh Yeshiva, are they considered Talmid Chachamim? The Gemara says Talmid Chachamim are people Torasan and Nasan. And the Gemara says in Mizrach Shabbos, there's no people nowadays that are called Torasan and Nasan. Rabbi Shimon and his friends were called Torasan and Nasan. But no one really says, Machlokes in the poskim over here. Technically, the Gemara says Talmid Chacham is me Erev Shabbos, Erev Shabbos. That's what the Gemara says. So you would think with the Gemara, it means Thursday night, right? It says Erev Shabbos. It doesn't say Leil Shabbos. You're switching the words over here. And this is, I think, a grave mistake because people are taught that the night you're supposed to be together is Friday night. And Friday night is the worst night of the week, honestly. It's the worst night. People are tired. Sometimes the meals can go till late, till 11, 12 o'clock now in the summers. People are tired, they're getting ready for Shabbos, especially with big families. It's not a good time to be together. You're not going to enjoy it so much. People think because of the Kedusha of Shabbos, owning Shabbos, you're supposed to enjoy it more. The Gemara clearly says, from Erev Shabbos to Erev Shabbos, the Gemara says Erev Shabbos. Erev Shabbos is not Friday night, it's Thursday night. Thursday night is the time, that's the best night to be together. I still really believe that. But unfortunately, people are taught otherwise, and people's spouses are taught otherwise. And it makes life very difficult because when a girl is taught in seminary or taught by a college teacher, women don't have access to the Torah. They don't know, the Torah, it's possible the Torah meant something else. Whatever they take, it's like Aseres HaDibros to them, especially if they're very religious. So it's very sad that this is a bad misconception. However, in terms of a Talmud Chacham, the Mishnah Berurah says that nowadays people have Avreichim who learn Torah all day. They're considered Talmid Chacham, although he brings that some poskim say they're supposed to do it twice a week. And that's the extent, that's my Rosh Yeshiva told me, twice a week. That even though if you learn Kol, you're supposed to do it twice a week. Now, technically, if you ask me, I would say the people now of Reichem are considered Tayalim, right? The people that stroll all day, they're not working too hard, they don't pay taxes, they have no income. They don't have the minimum income to pay tax, no income tax. That's what it means. They should be every night, that's what it should be. Not once a week. The night that she goes to the mikvah, there's a mitzvah, there's a chiyuv to be together with her. If you're going out on a long journey, you're going overseas, the night you leave, and also when you come back, you have to be together. If she's nursing, it's not specifically talking about she's nursing. Anytime women are not supposed to demand being together with you. It's unwomanly to do that. Some women do it. I don't think there's anything terrible about doing it, but generally that's not the norm of women. And what they do is they'll put on perfume, they'll put on some makeup, And you can sense, if you have a good sense, if you care about your wife, that your wife wants to be together, and then you're actually obligated because of Ona. That's included in Ona. And here he goes on his big tirade over here. Even when you're together, you shouldn't enjoy it. You shouldn't try to enjoy it. It should be like you're paying off a debt alone. What should you have in mind for that? You're going to have children that will learn Torah, Makayim mitzvos Yisrael, Makayim mitzvos in Yisrael, like the mitzvah of Ona. Also, sometimes you can have kavanah if your wife is pregnant. The 6 later months of pregnancy, from month 4 to 9, it's good to be together with your wife. Apparently, it helps the child come out healthier. Shaper dami. That's good. That's a good kavanah. That's something worthy of having intentions for. Let's say he's a man who has overwhelming. He walks in the street. He sees women a lot. He's going on. He has a smartphone. He looks at YouTube with all their terrible ads. He can't get around it. He has any smartphone. You see women undressed properly, and he is gonna do an avera. He's gonna he'll masturbate or something like that. So you also get schar because you're not letting your Yetzer Hara give in. It's better if you weren't together with your wife and you just controlled yourself and didn't masturbate. Why is it so bad to be together? Gemara says, anyone who causes himself hunger, right? He's not together with his wife. He's satisfied. He doesn't have the desire. Must be roiv, and anyone who does it a lot is roiv. Now, I'll tell you the truth. When a woman is going to the mikveh, sometimes women don't need to go to the mikveh all the time. If they're pregnant, birth control sometimes. Women don't have to go to the mikveh. But when they do go to the mikveh, usually the minimum days or amount of usher is 12 days, according to modern day halacha. Now, people say, oh, no problem. I've noticed it myself. After 7 days, it's like impossible to sleep. Like you can't go. Like people say that God did it, the halachas of nida, so that you could be refreshed and have new spark in your life when she's usher and now she's muteres and now she's mutter to you. But I think that's based on what the Torah considers a nida, which is generally about 5 days it takes her to stop bleeding, and then she goes to the mikvah. The chumrah that Klal Yisrael took on themselves, they have to count 7 days like a zava, which makes it at least 12 days, is really a chumrah da asli kula, because most men can't control themselves. That it's hard. I don't understand this halacha. If you don't need it and you just want to have fun, that's zui asi yitzhara. That's the Yetzer Hara talking. Even though technically it's mutter, you'll start doing other things. You can do that. You do other things. Someone who gives himself an erection, he goes into nidoi. He has to go into seclusion. He is excommunicated. I don't think that's what Chazal are talking about. Chazal is talking about masturbating. I think it's obvious. And even that, I don't think is asur. I'm not going to talk about that now. There's a halacha that when you're together with your wife, you shouldn't be thinking about a different woman, even if you're married to 2 women. She's technically your wife, not one who's not your wife. Still, it's asur. I'll discuss this more in Ian to lean on why I believe this is so severe. It's an Isra Del Raisa, the Gemara says. And that's what the Gemara Maseches Nedarim says. It's referring to this. People think it's referring to looking at women who are not clad properly. No, it's referring to this. Gimel. The Gemara in Nedarim lists 9 types of relationships that are forbidden. It doesn't say they're forbidden. It says that if you engage in relations during these times, your children are not going to come out good. B'nei anusa, you rape her, even though she's your wife. B'nei snua, you hate her. You're together with her. B'nei nidoi, if you excommunicate, you're not talking to her. B'nei tmura, basically where you think she's one. You have 2 wives. You think she's one with insurance and the other wife. B'nei moredes, if she's rebelling against you, you're together with her. B'nei shichras, you're both utterly wasted. B'nei grus alev, if you intend to divorce her, you're together with her. B'nei yervuvia, where he says, the Shulchan Aruch, the Mishnah Berurah says, talking about what it said in Sif Beis. Basically, you're thinking about a different woman. B'nei Chatzufa. B'nei Chatzufa is basically where a woman, she goes ahead and she tells the man she wants to be together with him. Those 9 relationships will produce bad children. Dalet also listakal also makom. You're not allowed to look at the woman's vulva. Okay. Shekol mistakal sham ein lo boshes panim. Why is it usher? Because you're not embarrassed. The over al vatsnei aleches. You're not considered a sanu, a modest person. Umaver habusha mal panov. You're someone that removes embarrassment from your face. Shekol misbayish ein achote. Why is it a good thing to be embarrassed? If you're embarrassed, you won't sin. If you have yira on your face, you're embarrassed of other people, you won't sin. You're inciting the Yetzer Hara. It's even worse if you kiss there. You also are doing something which is disgusting, which is the answer to the rice in the Torah. Now, there's nowhere in the Gemara that says this is a violation of Baal Tashaksu. The Gemara talks about kissing, looking and kissing the vulva, vagina, whatever you want to call it. And the Gemara has 2 different opinions about this. And the people that are machmir are malachim, the Gemara says. The malachim told someone that you should be careful about this. And the Gemara says the halacha is not like them. We don't listen to malachim. Malachim, we're not malachim, we're human beings. People enjoy these things. First of all, the man enjoys it, and the woman enjoys it also. Men have a desire to do this. About the shocks, it's not disgusting at all. Fulfilling your desires is not a disgusting thing. It's a basic human need, a basic want. Makes us human. It makes us a good thing. And you're allowed to look there, and you're allowed to stare there. You're allowed to do whatever you want, And you should also, if you're a good man, women like it when you put your tongue there. In the right place, on the top, if you don't know where that is, where that gets them excited. Women love that. So if you're not going to do that, and kissing and putting your tongue there and looking, you're missing a major part of the bedroom if you're machmir on this. And again, malachim were machmir. The Gemara says the halacha is not malachim. There's one opinion that says only in regards to one thing, the halacha is not malachim. But according to a lot of Rishonim, and the simple explanation of the Gemara is it's completely mutter. Malachim are machmir on this. You're a malach, you're a machmir on this. But we're not malachim, we're human beings. So this halacha is a complete mistake. Terrible, terrible mistake. And my Rebbe told me that I'm not allowed to look there, and they're not allowed to kiss there. He said you can do anything except looking and kissing there. Are you allowed to put your tongue there? That he didn't tell me. Well, he also didn't tell me about providing orgasm for your wife, which I think he conveniently left out because I think he doesn't believe in it. And I was looking for sources after I got married, whether it's forbidden or what, because, I don't know. It's hard to find statistics how many men, especially in the frum community, do this for their wives. And I've heard different rabbis say different things. One rabbi said if you do it 9 times, his wife told my wife, or told a different woman, that if the husband does it 9 times, provides an orgasm 9 times a month for his wife, so then it gets olam haba or something like that. And some Sfarim say that it's usher. It's just like a man masturbating. It's like a woman. That's what it is for a woman, even though the man did it for her. No, this is an essential need for a woman. If you don't do this for your wife, you're like you're a person. It's abuse. That's abuse. Imagine a man starting to get excited, and then the woman says, no, we're not going any further, and you can't let it out. That's the same thing for the woman. It's terrible. Hey, hulamata vihi lamal lazu darach azus. Okay, it's one of the sexual positions. She's on top, he's on bottom. A lot of men like this. A lot of women like this. Cowgirl position. Where is this asr from? Where is this asr? What's the source of this? The Torah b'shem Maseches Kala. Not clear we would pass like Maseches Kala. It doesn't even say it's asr. Durach azus. It's considered brazen. So it's good to be brazen sometimes. You don't do it every time. Shimshu shnein ka'achad zeu durach ikesh. If they're together, meaning not the man on top, but the man lying next to the woman, either lying behind her or lying opposite her, is there a derech ikesh? It doesn't say it's asr, it doesn't say it's forbidden. It says someone who is foolish, I guess. These things need to be implemented in marriage. These things need to be tried in marriage. Different positions give, especially a monogamous relationship. If you don't change it up a little bit, you're gonna lose the excitement in marriage, especially for the man. So these things, you want to be brazen? Go be brazen. Be someone bold. I don't think you have to listen to this. Vav also l'shamish mitasav b'nei kol adam imhu neyor. You can't. If someone's watching you, you can't be together with your wife. Even if you put a mechitza there, and the other person on the other side, and they hear you, that's also like doing it in front of them. If the child, the baby, he doesn't know how to speak, he's not going to tell anyone, it's mutter. Bo sefer Torah chumashim asim beglila asher l'shamish bo ad sheyeh b'fun of mechitza. If you have an actual sefer Torah in your house, something written on parchment, you have to have a mechitza, a 10 tefachim. If you have a different room, you should take it to a different room. If you have tefillin, which are not sefer Torah, or any sefer, you can leave them in the room, but you put them kli b'to kli, 2 coverings. The second covering, one of them could be something that's normally covered, but the second one has to be something different. If both coverings are normally on top of it, so then it's not like anything. It's only considered one. Let's say you have a closet full of svarim. So if you put a talis, you put your talis over it, so that's considered kli b'to kli. It's mutter zayin. Lo yishamish b'tchilas halayla v'lo b'sofa k'dei shel yishma kol b'nei adam yavo l'chashi v'shacheres ela emsa halayla. Now, this is a halacha which is taken from a very righteous woman, Ima Shalom, the Gemara said. They asked her why she had such beautiful children. I think they were tzaddikim. She says, I'm not together with my husband in the beginning of the night and not at the end of the night. In the middle of the night, chatzos. There are people I've heard from the community that follow this halacha religiously. Now, it was just an example of a really righteous woman in the Gemara. It doesn't say you have to do this. But the Shulchan Aruch turns it into a chiyuv. You have to do this. People make themselves crazy. That they have to wake up in the middle of the night, go to sleep, wake up in the middle of the night. No one's interested. They want to go back to sleep just so they can do it in the middle of the night. Why? And he adds in his own reasoning. It doesn't say the reasoning in the Gemara because you might hear a different woman's voice and you'll think a different woman. I mean, most people live by themselves, not going to hear anyone's voice. You have to worry about this. It's not a halacha. Chet, v'yishamish be'em over here. This is the halacha. That's the worst. And I'm going to give you my own explanation of this Gemara. It's based on a Gemara, and I'll give my own explanation of the Gemara, which is totally opposite of what he says. And I think that's the correct interpretation. V'yishamish be'em over here. He should be together with his wife in extreme trepidation. Eliezer, Hagadol, he was considered a big Tana. The Gemara describes him, he would cover a tefach and megala a tefach. We'll see in a second, there's different explanation of what this means. And it was like someone that he really didn't want to do it. It was like a demon forced him to do it. Perish. What's the explanation of this Gemara? What does it mean? Well, one explanation is that you should be fearful, right? Just like a demon causes you fear. You don't want to be near demons. So you should be fearful. You should be afraid that you're not getting enjoyment. That's one explanation. When he's together inside, when he's penetrating, his aver is inside the woman, he wouldn't move it to the side or he wouldn't move it back and forth. So you shouldn't get so much hana. It's like he's being forced to do it. That's the parish of kfo shed. A different explanation. Megala teva sheisha. Klomar achshav megala osa l'sorach tashmish. Achshav machas osa. Klomar shloya marach bosa ma'isa. V'domalo k'moshe biaso hashev v'nivas v'niach ha'ma'isa. Do it very quickly. This is the worst advice in the world, and any chassan kaddish will tell you this. This is completely against the Shulchan Aruch, that you should do it as quickly as possible. Hasidim do it like this. A lot of Hasidim, there's a lot of from people that do it like this, as quickly as possible. It's over in 2 minutes. And women are completely not satisfied. Any reliable chassan or chassan teacher will tell you foreplay is key. A woman needs foreplay, not every single time. A man is entitled to his rights. Most men do not like to engage in a lot of foreplay. Women would like foreplay between 20 minutes and an hour. Now, my Rosh Yeshiva told me 2 hours is not considered a lot of time. What is considered a lot of time? 10 hours? for? Like, what, a one-night stand? I mean, you have to be realistic. 20 minutes, after the first couple, I don't know, weeks of marriage, you're not that interested anymore. So 20 minutes, half an hour, but not every time. You can be together 3-4 times a week. You make a deal, communicate with your wife. I like to be over in 3, 4, or 5 minutes, and your wife wants 20 minutes, a half an hour. Make deals. You don't have to provide an orgasm for her every time. Make a deal. So let her know when you're going to provide the orgasm, when you're not providing it. It's hard for men to provide an orgasm. It's a lot of work sometimes. All the time, it's a lot of work for men to provide an orgasm for their wife. So you have to work on that and try to talk about it and communicate that, because that's very important. That's one explanation. It was like a shade forced him. He frightened him, and he told him, "Get out of here. Do it very quickly." He did it very quickly. When he was together with her, he didn't even take off her underwear. He pulled the underwear down a little bit, went inside. When he came out, he pulled the underwear up. So he shouldn't have her have the enjoyment of his wife being completely unclad. They're all true. We accept all these explanations. A person who cares about his neshama, he should be very careful in all these things. This is the worst, the worst, it's the biggest butchering of the Torah possible. This is exactly the opposite of what the Torah wants. Anyone who thinks that this is what the Torah wants is not Jewish. I'm only going to say this. And I'm only saying this in the face of the Shulchan Aruch. Yosef Karo is a big rabbi. He helped a lot of Jews. He formulated a lot of halachas. Not everything he says, sometimes a little too machmir, sometimes he got it right. But this one is completely wrong. This is the opposite of what the Torah wants. And most people with a seichel, with normal, and have been in a marriage, and been in a good marriage, a decent marriage, will tell you this is a complete mistake. To be choshesh for any of these things is a big, big mistake. And it's exactly the opposite. I'll talk more about this specific Gemara, what my interpretation is, and Ian, to lean on the Ian share I gave it to An Shulchan Aruch Yom Tet. Lo yisaprim advarim she'einam minyanei atashma. Shal v'shas tashmas v'lo kodem lachin. While you're together, you can't talk about anything besides being together. And I guess that includes role play. I guess that includes, dirty talk. That's okay. Lo v'shas tashmas v'lo kodem lachin. Shalo yitain daito b'yishachar. You shouldn't talk about the news. You shouldn't talk about, I don't know, your wife's family or your family. Then they tell you what you spoke to your wife. When you come in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they tell you. All right. Is that a bad thing? Listen, I happen to agree with this halacha, because it should keep you focused on what you're doing. You shouldn't come to things that are, going to divert your attention. My whole opinion about all these halachos is that the Torah wants you to enjoy it as much as possible. So when you talk about other things, like the halacha about thinking of a different woman when you're together with your wife, it limits your enjoyment, because your mind is in one place, your body's in a different place. Your mind has to be with your body to enjoy it fully. If she's angry at him, he can't just be together with her until he makes her feel better. If they're angry, they can speak a little bit before tashmish and make sure she's okay emotionally with it. If you go and you violate a woman, the same thing as not having foreplay ever with a woman, right? She'll feel violated, even if she's your wife. If you have a candle burning, that's usher. You have to have nice lighting. People interpret this halacha, they have to be completely black. The room, when you're together with your wife, you have to color all the room completely black. That is a big mistake, because you enjoy seeing your wife when, you want to have nice romantic lighting. Maybe one candle's not enough. Maybe we need some more candles. But this is a big mistake also. Or near a However, he says if you have a candle and you make a sheet, you put a sheet as a mechitza of 10 tefachim, then it's okay. Or you can put even a utensil on top of a bowl on top of the candle. He talks about over there where you're allowed to make his mechitza on Shabbos. Omin, the gam also l'shamish bayom. Elim kain hu beis afel. You're not allowed to be together during the day. Now, people who get married realize that there's a big desire to be together during the day. A lot of times on Shabbos afternoon, during the afternoon, especially at the beginning of marriage, you just want to be together in the middle of the day. And my Rosh Yeshiva told me that it's better not to, but if you feel a desire to, you should. And I think it's 100% okay. If you have a desire to, you should engage in it. The Gemara mentions that someone who does this is called a Rasha. It's not a terrible thing to be a Rasha all the time. Right? Women like bad guys. Doesn't say it's usher. There's difference between the word usher and Rasha. Someone who violates the Torah, right? That's an avarian, someone who goes against God's word. To be a Rasha, this is like having bad midos. Bad midos, sometimes it's good to be a little bad. I'll go with Talmud Chacham, Afel Talisa B'Shari. With Talmud Chacham, you could just put a talis over him. A lot of people, when they're together, they put something over them, a sheet on top of them. This is based on a Zohar. The Zohar says that you can't be Mashamish while you're Arum. Hashem, the Medrash says, he goes over, quotes a Medrash. Oh, maybe it's not the Zohar. Someone quotes a Medrash that says Hashem hates people that are together when they're just purely naked. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it's more enjoyable like that. And a Medrash we don't rely on for Allah. A Medrash is remez. We don't understand the secrets of the Torah. Why are you making chumras upon yourself? Yud Beis. Also, l'shamish v'yado b'shnei ravon el chastuchei bonim. Perish m'shein lo bonim. We learn from Yosef. You're not together with your wife when it's a time of famine. I'll go there. Moses of ayin l'kaman simon took off tough kuf ayin dal and sif dal. Who adim mishar tzara shehem keravon. If it's a time of war or a time of a disaster, a calamity, a public calamity, then people outside are suffering. You shouldn't be enjoying yourself. Now, Mishabur himself says that if you feel a strong desire, you should be better. It's better than to let it out to masturbate. But I think if any of these halachas, this is a nice idea, but in reality, probably not. If you're a guest at someone's house, you're not allowed to have tavshan mita with your wife. If they give you your own room, of course you can be together with your wife. You're talking about a guest who's sleeping in a public room, who's sleeping in the living room, where it's only a studio apartment, and you're both sleeping in the same. You and the host are sleeping in the same room, so you might wake up. So it makes sense not to be together. And you shouldn't be together with linens of the hosts. Usually they'll give you towels or something like that. You can use those. So because otherwise it gets his linens dirty because it's going to have the shechva zera, the semen on it. Yudal shechva zera koch haguf u'morayinayim. Shechva zera is the semen is the strength of a man's body and it gives him good eyesight. B'chol zman sheteitze biyoser. When a man engages in this too much, haguf kola v'chayav ovdim. His body dissipates and his life falls away. B'chol shatav bila zikna kofetz love. If he engages too much, he's going to get old very quickly. He gets very weak. Vein of chaos, and his eyes are dimmed. If he has bad halitosis, he has bad breath. His eyelashes, his eyebrows, they fall off. He has a long beard. He has a lot of hair in his armpits. His teeth fall out. A lot more terrible things happen. This is a Rambam, not a Gemara. One of 1,000 people die from other diseases. Most people die because they engage in marital relations too much. That's what the Rambam says. So you have to be careful. I don't know. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of athletes out there. Wilt Chamberlain, 10,000 women. He was pretty strong. He still scored 100 points in a game. I don't know where the Rambam gets this from. I disagree with this. I think it's the opposite. I think people that are more sexually active, it's more healthy for them. You shouldn't be together when either you're full or you're hungry. When you're content, when the food is digested. You shouldn't be together when you're standing and not when you're sitting. Okay, so he says you shouldn't be together when you're standing or you're sitting. There's a lot of positions that you need to be standing. At least one of the partners to be standing. Some positions with sitting. To outlaw these things it's not from the Gemara. This is from the Rambam. The Rambam seems to make up these halachas. Don't listen to this. It is a mistake. And not in the base of America. It's not when you're in a swimming pool and a jacuzzi. No, those are good places to be together. I don't know what you're talking about. But not in the day that you go to the base of America. And not the day when you go to the derech. Even though he said before that when you go out and travel, he's talking about here when you're walking somewhere. When you're walking to a place, you don't have so much strength. But if you're traveling on a plane or a bus or in a car, so then if you go away for a long time, you have to be together before and after. That's what he says. When he's driving or he's in a wagon. Here we're talking about he's walking. You're together on a bed where the child is a child is lying there together with you. Some people keep their babies in bed next to the mother, so they can nurse them easier in the middle of the night. That child will be nichvel, go crazy. It's only talking about if the child is younger than a year. The child is a year old, then it doesn't apply. This is a weird Gemara in Masechus Pesachim. Don't listen to this Gemara either. It's agata. We don't understand this. It's only talking about where the baby is sleeping at your feet. Where he's sleeping where you're sleeping, his head is where your head is. No problem. It's only if you don't put your hand over his head. If you put your hand over the baby's head, then it's not a problem. Don't listen to any of this. It's not applicable. The bed ideally should be faced not between the west and the east. It should be faced between the north and the south. This is a Gemara Masechus Brachos at the beginning. Again, this is the Zohar has a different explanation. He argues on this. I don't know. I don't think most people know what direction their bed is. I don't think it really matters. Again, these things, a lot of Agada does, we don't understand the real reasons behind them, and you shouldn't follow things that you have no idea what it's talking about. He brings some other interesting halachas over here, just to speak them out. He says over here that if you go to the bathroom, you have to wait at least half a mil. A mil is usually 18 minutes. You have to wait 9 minutes if you defecated before you're together. If a woman nurses her baby, she has to wait 2 mil. She has to wait 36 minutes before you're together. And there's other more chumras. Look at the Mishnah, there's a lot more chumras here than what the Shulchan Aruch stated. Some real firm people follow the Mishnah Bruas and they make their lives crazy. Really, you should not make your life crazy. It's important to go to a competent rabbi and learn the Shulchan Aruch with a competent rabbi who understands people's problems, who has experience with a lot of people that come to him for marital problems, especially marital problems in the bedroom. Even the Stipler was a big going, people would come to him and they say, I have problems with my wife. He said, how many times are you together a week? One time on Shabbos, Friday night. He said, be together 3 or 4 times. Don't do it for a short amount of time. Do it for a long amount of time. The Stipler, one of the biggest Gedolim, and he would say this to help people, and their marriages improved after that. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who take these things literally. They don't ask competent rabbis. Some competent rabbis say you follow the Shulchan Aruch. Anyone who has experience with both men and women who are married and they've helped them know that a lot of this stuff, most of this stuff, you don't take literally. I will tell you my explanation of the most famous Gemara and what he brings in Sif Ches, that when you're together with your wife, it should be Megal Tefach Chaz Tefach and Domek Misha Kafo shade, like a demon possessed you. I'll give you my explanation in a positive light to explain what it means and basically give a whole different understanding of what marital relations should look like in your bedroom. Ian to lean on coming up.